Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan. And today I actually got something. This is nothing really worth bragging about, but I saw this. This is one of those things. I don't really buy very many like figures or knickknacks or anything like that anymore, but today I actually kind of decided to get off my ass and try and be active. And I biked down to Sausalito, and there's this weird little gift shop there. And there,
is that the store that's got all the Japanese action figures in it?
Yeah, it's like one. It's not like just Japanese stuff. It's primarily when I went there was like a lot of Totoro stuff, a lot of stuff from Tintin. Like the whole place is covered in Tintin and Totoro. And then there is like, like how they have like those vinyl figures, like those mystery figures. Well, they actually had them. Like I thought this was kind of nice of them. They actually kind of pulled them out of the box and they were selling them individually. So it's like, all right, you don't know what the fuck you're getting, so you could actually buy them right off the shelf. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, because that's the main thing stopped me from buying and collecting some of those things. Because like $7 for like, oh, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to get.
When I was a kid, that was the main reason I always wanted to go to Sausalito, because they had that sweet action figure store there. I'm glad to see it still exists.
I'm not sure if it's the same one, because it's not even like, it's really weird random assortment of just little figurines and your traditional kind of like gift shop type stuff. But there's some special stuff that really stood out that you wouldn't see a whole lot. They still a lot of vinyl figure type stuff. And even though we've kind of like criticized and judged some of these things before, I saw this one. The character already looks weird enough, so he looks normal in this form even. But one of my favorite Star Wars characters right there.
Oh, Admiral Akbar?
I got one of those. You get those pop figures, like the big with like the weird like Hey Arnold like football shaped heads and like the black like little dot eyes look kind of creepy. They had an Admiral Akbar one.
That's badass.
For whatever reason, I don't know why, that's always been like one of my main characters in Star Wars, and not like in a hipstery ironic way. He just always has been. And
cool in some way.
I really hope. I know it can't be him, but or if he is in it, cool. But I really hope that in the new one, whatever little ragtag team they put together, they got like Admiral Akbar is maybe part of the team, or maybe like his son is some like battle-hardened warrior or something like that. I don't know. I just always liked that character. So.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So nothing too amazing, but I spent $10. I probably didn't need to spend on this thing, but whatever.
Yeah, every once in a while you need to get an action figure. I was actually talking to a bunch of guys about action figures. But that Sausalito area, I remember I'd go there and I'd find like Japanese Dragon Ball Z figures in like the late 90s, and I thought that was the coolest place ever. Because in the U.S., this is like when we only had like Series 1 of the Dragon Ball Z ones. So here, from Japan, you could see all the other ones, and that was like the most badass part.
They had like a lot of weird stuff. Like the whole place was covered in Totoro and Tintin. But it was mainly like I said, like those like little mystery vinyl figures. Just they sold them in the boxes. They sold them out of the boxes if you just wanted the one you wanted rather than just having to guess.
Yeah, exactly. Which that's much better because they're expensive for guessing. I feel like if I'm gonna guess, make it cheaper. That's all I have to say.
Make it at least like $3. You know what I mean? Don't make me spend $7 and I don't know what the fuck I'm getting.
Yeah, literally. That's what they should almost call the company. I don't know what the fuck I'm getting. Or I'd be like, I don't know what the fuck you're getting.
The two times I bought one of those things, I got the same exact figure. The two times,
I know, it's just like, and there's like 40 figures to get, and like, what's the chances of that?
Yeah, so it's like, fuck it,
Dude, there's this really sweet Arnold Schwarzenegger figure that just came out. It's a Commando one, like 1/6 scale, kind of like lifelike figure. Mm-hmm. And it comes with all like a bunch of accessories. You get all the guns, you get all this equipment and whatnot, kind of like when he's invading the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Guess how expensive this is, though.
I'm gonna go low. I'm gonna say $40.
No. Way higher than that.
Wait. How
it's a very fancy action figure. It's
how tall is it?
1/6 scale, so it's about a foot tall. If Arnold Schwarzenegger 6 foot tall, or 6 foot tall.
Foot tall. Then okay, yeah, I'm gonna say like $200.
It's $250.
Okay.
On the action figure website, you can make payments on. They're like, oh, we can split it up into like 5 or 6 easy payments of like $50. I'm like, that's like the one where like somebody would tell their wife, like, okay, honey, I know you're gonna get mad, but I got a new payment coming in. Like, oh, did you get a new car? No, but it's cooler than a car.
I said, there's that spot on our DVD shelf, which I said always kind of needs to be filled by something. Well, I got just the thing. It's just, now we're $250 in the hole. I just thought I'd let you know. But hey,
so you got a PS4. You got a PS4, right?
Well, no.
No, it's cooler than a PS4.
It's actually less expensive, but still fairly useless. But regardless, it makes me happy inside, so fuck you. We're getting it. Anyway.
It's a life-size statue of, or not life-size, but it's a 1/6 scale statue of Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando, and I want him to stand there with no shirt on, just by preference. Combat knife ready.
No, I actually there's like one of the comic book shops down the street from me. They actually have a bunch of those type of figures, and whenever you go in there, because for a while I would just kind of like I would never really buy that kind of shit, but now, not for a long time. Like when I was in middle school, I would all the time. Then once I got to high school, I basically stopped. Now, if I see something that looks reasonably priced and it's actually kind of cool, I will. But it's not. It's like I said, that's a rarity. But you see some of the ones they got, it's just like, oh my god, that is so badass. And you look at the price, it's not $50 cool, or but you see like the ones you're talking about, like the Arnold one. You'll see like a bunch of Marvel and DC ones for like $300 that are just like whoa, that is just like I think the thing now is even like your standard, like because a friend of mine, he collects a bunch of like figures, and I went over to his place a little bit ago, and he had like this badass, because when we were kids, like your standard Star Wars figures, like a little GI Joe guy, basically very bare bones. Now they got these cool, well detailed ones that are just kind of like your standard looking figures, not really, they're well detailed, but they're not like nothing too flashy, but they look cool. And I was like, okay, those are probably going like what, $10, and I look at them, $25 for like a standard like for a standard like 4 or 5 inch figure.
I think that's the one. That's kind of where
because now they know that people could actually.
They've gotten kind of almost too expensive. I mean, they had these cool Predator ones. I remember I saw, and you could get the Predator or you could get Arnold. And I looked at the back, and I'm like, I almost thought, I'm like, if this was $50, I would pick it up. And then I saw it was $100. I'm like, $100, that's just too much. I mean, I know it's like once if you do come with all the accessories, and it is really well made and so on, but at the end of the day, it is just an action figure. If it was an Arnold Schwarzenegger fucking robot, like Commando robot that walked around my house and like peered out the window and protected me at nighttime, I would be like, this is badass.
Like small soldiers, like small.
Yeah, like literally, give me a small soldiers action figure. I'll pay $250 for that.
If that dropped down in the middle of, if they got the Arnold Commando figure like in the middle of Small Soldiers, that battle would have been done like in like 5 minutes. Like Tommy Lee Jones bot and all those other ones are all like we gotta take him. Oh god! Arnold just comes and knifes them, just kills them all by himself, and then
pulls out the rocket launcher, blows it up. He sets all the C4 around like the neighborhood.
Yeah,
I'm just picturing it like the end of Commando.
And then like Archer and the rest of the Argonauts or whatever they're called, like, thank you so much, great warrior. Then he goes and kills them.
He just gets scared when he sees it.
Like, oh, what the fuck is that? Yeah, just like murders him.
But I would pay. And then I would pay $250 for a pretty much Small Soldiers type action figure, as long as I knew it wasn't going to kill me in the middle of the night.
And then like what's the kid in that movie? What's his name? The actor?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Same kid that was in Terminator 2, actually.
In Small Soldiers?
Be some fucking deja vu.
In Small Soldiers?
In Small Soldiers, that was the same guy that was in Terminator 2, wasn't it?
Was it? You mean Edward Furlong?
Yeah, Edward Furlong.
Is that really him?
I believe that.
Wait, it's just been so long since I guess I've seen Small Soldiers. That makes sense why I really liked it then, because anything that he was in when I was a kid was just like, I love Terminator 2 so much that when I saw it, was like, oh, John Connor, fucking A.
Yeah, it was basically Robo Gremlins when it gets down to it, that movie.
Huh.
I mean, it's not as good as Gremlins, but it's also by the same director, Joe Dante, so.
Yeah, definitely not as good as Gremlins, but still, it's still a cool movie. Well, that's like, there's Detroit.
It was mainly made to sell plastic. It was mainly made to sell plastic, but it was still, I remember it being enjoyable,
Mm-hmm.
If we do a fan commentary on one, maybe that one at some point in time.
I got a VHS copy of it. We're good to go.
Okay, yeah. I don't got a copy. I haven't seen it like in years, but yeah. So
VHS, the way God intended. I just have a love for VHS still. I still watch at least a VHS once a week, if not a couple of them. I still even buy VHSs. I bought one about 3 days ago. They had the entire collection on VHS of Captain Marvel, the old serials. I was like, I should take this in.
Like Shazam, Captain Marvel?
Yeah. And then it even had a quote on there. It said, by Leonard Maltin, said, the best cereals ever made. I was like, good enough. 50 cents, I'm there.
Huh. Well, that's worth it. 50 cents, I'd say, worth it.
I mean, that's if you watch one of them.
So when it comes to VHS, you're kind of like the way hipsters and I guess Nora like still buying vinyl and all that.
Yeah, the thing about VHS, like there's the vinyl one's always a weird.
I ain't judging, but I'm just.
It's like I have over 500 records sitting in my house that sit in crates and never get touched, but I guess if you have a nice little like sound system set up, I think the only real appeal to LPs more than anything else, it's more like the entertain. You have guests come over, and you're like, hey, check this out, I got it on LP. It's pretty cool. And you sit down,
Talking like a young Rodney Dangerfield.
You kind of stand back there with like your Buddy Holly glasses on, sipping your drink, almost like you're entertaining somebody in the 50s. Like that's what it kind of reminds me.
Just bobbing your head, just snapping your fingers in the corner.
But I think about LPs though. It's like if you're that guy, it's just like in your house by yourself, listen to an LP. Then it almost just seems sad. I don't know what it is. Just like I got my LP here, I got my bourbon. I'll just.
It does sound kind of like It does sound like a kind of a sad Bruce Springsteen song when it gets down to it.
He's got his LP and his bourbon.
The LP man.
Drinking the bourbon.
Sad as he can.
Look
I feel like I always got all these...
at the train tracks. Oh,
ain't no going back. She ain't calling y'all no more, like harmonica picks up.
Them Buddy Holly glasses ain't gonna save you now. But no, it's like, other than that, though, it's kind of like, well, a VHS isn't really like, if you invite people over and go, hey, I got my VHS player, they're probably all like, oh, fuck, this guy invited us over. God, we're not sitting around watching a bunch of VHSs with this guy. Doesn't have that same appeal. Doesn't have that same appeal. But this is what I like about VHSs. When I watch it, I like the quality of it because it takes me back to the 90s or even 80s. Mm-hmm. Just like because that's like the type of movies I think of, is 80s and 90s movies. Just watching a bunch of that, and it takes you there because when sometimes you get a copy, those VHSs you had, you watch a bunch when you were a kid. Then you finally pick it up on DVD or even nowadays Blu-ray, and you watch it. Once it's all like crystal clear and looks smooth, it almost like it takes you away. You almost feel like you're not watching a 90s movie anymore.
No, I get you. Well, that's also the reason why Quentin Tarantino still likes to work in film as opposed to like digital, like most other directors by this day and age.
Yeah,
I think Ryan Johnson still. I think Ryan Johnson still works in film. I think on that episode of Movie Makers.
Yeah, and
I don't know. Disney probably won't let him do that with Star Wars. I doubt they'll let him do that with Star Wars, but yeah.
Well, because you kind of look at something like Looper, and you kind of go, "Why did you shoot that on film?" You can't even tell. It just looks like a digital movie. If you're able to pull a look off, you can go, "Oh, that looks like film." Then I think that's like okay, if that's what you're going for. But once you shoot a film movie so crystal clear that it pretty much just looks like it's digital, it just seems like a waste of money because it costs so much money just to shoot on film.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It's probably one of those. I don't really understand it either, but granted, I guess I started getting into film once digital started to happen, so I guess I don't really have this. I mean, I understand it. I can appreciate it beyond that. On that, though, in the process of making it, though, it just seems like so much more of a burden.
Well, yeah, because it almost just seems like the Republican way to make a movie nowadays. Like, okay, we're going to spend a whole lot more money. We're going to get a bunch more people to, like, work their asses off just because I want to see this movie on film because that's how John Wayne was in. He was in film. He wasn't in digital. So that's
what would John Wayne do?
Yeah, it just seems like, also, I want to get a steam engine to take me around the world. I'm not flying no fucking plane.
It can be done. We've all seen Snowpiercer by this point, right?
Yeah, fuck. We seen Back to the Future. They were using that close enough.
Have you heard the different like Back to the Future theories that Doc is actually Marty?
No, I never heard that one.
Yeah, there's different theories. One of which is Doc is Marty. But I mean, I don't know. I think any time you go looking into time travel movies or like Back to the Future, especially, if you look at it too long, the whole thing falls apart. And there was one that was like Doc was actually like he planned it from the get-go. And even if you kind of look at when Marty goes over to Doc's house earlier on in the first one, you see a lot of knickknacks and things implying what's going to happen later down the road, like a little Western like things here and there and stuff from like the second movie.
For the third movie, you mean?
The second and third.
Oh, okay. Well, you said Western. That's when you said that.
Yeah, Western stuff as well as just little things implying what's going to come.
So what you're saying is that Marty in the future is Doc. So in like 2050 or something, maybe not that much, 2030, he's Doc. And now somehow, some way, Doc goes back in time.
To meet Marty.
In 1950. This doesn't make any sense.
Somebody, I don't remember, like Cracked. I was listening to a Cracked podcast, and they were talking about just different theories. Not saying this is what's going on, but just saying this potential theory that he went back in I guess it's kind of confusing because he's still time traveling, but yeah, like when he gets reached. I don't know. The more I'm trying to think about it, the more it's kind of like it's literally that's the thing about time travel movies. It's kind of like that line in Looper, like Jeff Daniels says, like, you don't want to think about this time travel shit too much, otherwise it's gonna fry your brain like an egg. Like that's kind of true, and I like how that movie just kind of has no problem. Like, look, don't fucking worry about the way it works because it's not fucking possible anyway. So just move on, get past that. I think something because
I'm from the future. Don't question me.
Because I remember some people were saying like, yeah, so and so were complaining about like, well, one thing people were saying is this kind of makes sense. And they even said this in that Looper podcast with Kevin Smith and Ryan Johnson. The Polaroid wouldn't actually exist if all that stuff actually happened. When you think about it, he wouldn't disappear in the Polaroid because the Polaroid wouldn't be there in the beginning. But in anyway, but
yeah, that's just like a movie thing.
It just, but it just helps with the movie. And sometimes you get, I think now in this digital age though, we just get people like nitpick and focus and look way too much into shit.
Well, it's the same kind of complaint I always have when people start getting into like, I'm going to use firefighters as an example because they always complain about backdraft. And mostly I can always back up everything that like they complain about in backdraft because they always go, the first thing they complain about, they go like, well, they take their mask off while they're inside a house. You would never take your mask off. This is the first thing I go. It's a movie. We got to have their masks off so we know who the characters are. Why do you think in Gears of War they don't wear helmets? If they all wore helmets, the game would probably be like, who the hell is each one? I can't tell who I'm playing as. You know what I mean?
The reason Carmine wears their helmet is because he's going to die anyway.
Yeah, see, the guy that wears helmets is the guy that dies. That's the whole. That's how stories work. Is the guy who's too safety oriented is the one that dies. Now I know in real life that's not the same case, but there. And then there's other like things, in backdraft too. They'll talk about some things, and then they go, "Oh, we don't do that now." It's just like, well, yeah, that was 20 years ago. When they based that movie off, they didn't just kind of like willy-nilly it. They put some thought into it, but people start getting this so picky. It's like also with action movies too, when they're like, "Oh yeah, how can he outrun a bullet?" I shoot guns all the time. I totally know. Like I kill people.
No, yeah.
I just always kind of hate that because mostly it's always I just go, it's a movie. It's like there's
anytime you talk to like a military person and you bring up like a military movie, they always like. I mean, part of me, I guess, if it's supposed to be based on a true story, like that's not how it happened. Because it wouldn't have gone down that way. I can understand that, but when it's like purely fictional, that's the point. I'll just take it. It's a fucking movie.
Well, this is how I always look at it. It's mostly always somebody's complaint. I go, yes, but the reason why this happens, it's for story reasons. Now, if there was no story reason behind it and they were complaining, I'd probably go, sure, okay, that makes sense. I got you there. But once there's a story reason, it's like, that's why. Why does a character in an action movie can outrun bullets? Because if he died right there, we wouldn't have the movie. You know what I mean? He's an action hero. He's supposed to be just that tad bit larger than life. He can outrun a bullet pretty much. That's kind of how it's supposed to be. Not like exactly run out a bullet, but, if somebody's shooting, they can't hit him. That just kind of...
Sometimes people kind of lose it at like the weirdest time in the movie. I was talking to somebody about like it was right when Kick-Ass came out, and they're saying, I loved Kick-Ass up until like the last 20 minutes. Like, why was it just you didn't like where the story was going? No, just the chick, she started like just firing two guns, doing backflips, killing all those guys, when everything else like that's totally not real. And then he flies up in a jetpack, like it's a movie about superheroes. Yeah, I know, but everything else just at that point, just like I can't take it. Just not for me. Just like every so often you have one of those things where it's like. You're trying not to be judgmental over someone else's opinion, but when it just seems like I don't understand how you come to that. It's not a matter of just kind of like, oh, well, they didn't like the story. It's just like, yeah, they got in a shootout, and that shootout went a little weird, and that one thing right there is able to take the rest of this movie down. It's just like, wait, what? You know what I'm saying?
When you question things like that, it's like, really? It's like that's the one part that took you out of the whole movie.
Mm-hmm. It's like when people are literally like one little thing like take you out of the whole movie. That's when like when you have a whole movie stacked up there. Like it's kind of like, I mean, maybe this is the most popular opinion, but this might even make people tune out of me for a second. But Spider-Man 3, in all honesty, it's not a perfect movie. The movie's flawed as fuck, but it's ultimately, I think, enjoyable. It's the last 20-30 minutes seem a little weird, and I think that's where ultimately it kind of is the weakest. But I mean, before then, I think the rest of the movie, it's paced okay and paced decently, and the action's good.
I actually think that movie's actually really all the way good up till that last act. I think that last act is in part it almost just kind of feels like let's get this fucking over with. And then there's kind of like weird stuff in there too, where it's just like really that's how.
Well, no, because where it should have zigged, it zagged. And because he gets in the fight with Harry. That part's cool. Like just him and Harry is Peter and Harry, not even like his Green Goblin versus Spider-Man. That part's fine. And then after that, they have this whole funny little like montage of him dancing and jazz swinging. But
that's mostly where it gets weird at. That is literally the scene where it gets weird at.
That's not enough to kill it for me, but that's enough to make me dock some points off it, which that I understand. But when people full on just say like they're able to, because that's like last 20 minutes, and granted that's a weird last 20 minutes.
And looks like you got lost.
2 hours
and looks like it's all messed up.
Well, I can hear you. I just can't see you that well.
Okay, well I think you're just going out then.
Okay. Anyway, the joy of technical difficulties.
Something on Skype said like, "Hold on, we're fixing something," and then it went away.
Mine's kind of going up and down. I see in the right hand corner.
But carry on. I think it's fine now.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, it's when, like, one little thing is enough to kill the whole movie, unless it's something... I mean, can you think of a particular movie where... I mean, granted, there's something you don't like, but can you think of a movie where one thing kind of killed the whole movie for you?
I can think of some movies, like, the first time I saw them. Like, I can think of Fight Club. I remember when the first time I watched Fight Club, and then you get to the part where it goes... oh, Brad Pitt's not real? That was where I was like, this movie's fucking stupid. That was the one character I loved, and they make him not real? What the fuck? I'm like, Leonard Maltin was goddamn right. See, he said the same thing. He said the second that Brad Pitt's not real, he said this movie's fucking shit. Quoted, Leonard Maltin.
What I love about your argument is it's not that like Tyler Durden isn't real, it's that Brad Pitt's not real.
Well, but then okay, now that's my first watch, and then I was kind of like, yeah, well, it's like, fuck this movie. And then you sit down and you think about it, and then once you kind of let it soak in, okay, this is what the movie is, and then you go, okay, so Edward Norton is just, in his mind, he's picturing himself as Brad Pitt. That makes total sense. And then you go, okay, I get it.
Well, that's why I'm laughing. Even when Brad Pitt looks all kind of like very like wiggerish, he's wearing like the fur coat, has the gold chains and shaved head, trying to look all stylish. He's like, I'm everything you want to be. It's like, yeah, everybody does want to be Brad Pitt. They may hate. People may hate and resent Brad Pitt, but at the end of the day, you know you want to be him.
No, exactly.
At least, especially at that point in time, you know.
Yeah, it's just like, so like when you then everything makes sense, and then I end up really liking the movie. Sometimes that's how it is though. Some movies you just kind of like. I think when you're watching them, you kind of go in there expecting something else, and then when that thing switches on you, and you go like, "What the fuck?" The thing I really like the most is like not what it was. But then once you kind of accept it and you go, "Okay, that's what the movie is," and then you kind of go, "Okay, that is a cool idea. I do like that. That's fine." But you know, for me, mostly, one thing never can ruin it. It takes something big for a movie to be ruined. It takes like a Wreck-It Ralph for a movie to be ruined for me.
Well, even that, you're holding 20 good minutes up to an hour and 10 minutes, like an hour and 10 minutes of just everything else being bad. So
yeah, of everything being like what I don't like.
Yeah.
You know, and as I try not to be anything picky about movies, and I know we should always be grateful for what we get. But there always is going to be that movie that just kind of like fucks you. It fucks you at the drive-thru, and they fuck you at the movie theater. Fucking Mickey Mouse coming in there going like, "Oh, I fucked you at the movie theater."
Open your mouth. Open your fucking mouth. Very violent. Like, no, Mickey, no.
No, Mickey, I just want my money back. I don't want to do it anymore.
Oh, I like it when they cry. It's bad. It makes me hard when they cry. Give me some Skittles.
You know what I keep thinking about though? In my head, I'm rolling around with that fucking Marty McFly and Doc like being the same person thing, and I don't get it. You know, the one that sounds good to me is the Jetsons Flintstones thing, where they say that like the Jetsons are actually in the past and the Flintstones is in the future, and just like shit went down at some point in the Jetsons, and then we all landed back on Earth, but we were back to like the Stone Age.
It's all post-apocalyptic and all that.
Yeah, but we still hold on to values like the bank and stuff like that, and jobs and everything. See, that makes sense to me. When somebody said that, I was like, that sounds right. I can see that. That's a logical explanation. That Back to the Future one, I just don't get it.
All right, let's try and debunk that mystery right here and now. I'm sure there are articles that could probably say it way better than I can right here, but just going off my half-assed memory of it, I believe it's to the effect of, okay, so at some point, Marty, I guess by the time we reach like 1984,
85?
85, yeah, 85.
Because everything's in fives.
1985, that's Marty being older. He's Doc now. And then From there, he
Whoa,
just
wait. In 1985, he's Doc?
well, no, well, I guess shit. No, I guess he went back in time. Fuck.
See, that's the thing confused me.
Hmm.
Is Doc, like, at his age that he is in the movies, is that Marty in, like, 2035?
I believe so because they still have the time machine even in the Wild West times. They still have the time machine. They can still kind of go around everywhere. So I guess he could have came back at some point, or maybe he kind of knew at some point in time this kid was going to help him out, so he had to push him along the way and find out. I mean, look, I don't really believe this shit, but it's something. It's an
Oh,
article.
yeah, I definitely don't believe it. I like to always just kind of take these things and run with them and just see where they go, but this is one of those ones, like, I just feel like this is just some, like, it almost just feels like something that, like, a stoner guy came up with one day while watching Back to the Future in, like, a marathon mode.
Well, there are various like theories on even like just I mean you look long enough at something you'll start coming up with multiple like layers and meanings to it. Like there is one for like for Quentin Tarantino films, like there's two universes and people kind of like trying to understand which universe belongs where. And there's one theory for Quentin Tarantino films where it's like okay, where basically Kill Bill, the Kill Bill films, Death Proof, From Dusk Till Dawn, those are all like in this ultra violent movie universe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're kind of like that. That's like because those movies. I mean, you know, we see those movies now, but most movies, in all honesty, they don't really. Most mainstream movies, they're not really that stylish or that violent. So it's almost kind of like okay, these are the movies they watch in the Quentin Tarantino movie universe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's almost kind of like Fox Force 5, that kind of stuff. This is what they would watch. Where what's actually part of the main Quentin Tarantino universe, it starts at Django Unchained, then we get to Inglourious Bastards. And the reason why people are so like movie savvy and so pop culture savvy is because Hitler was killed in a movie theater. So for that reason, pop culture, I mean like a major historical event happened right in the middle of like a pop culture like environment setting. So from that point, people are far more prone to violence and violent movies, and that's why so many people are just aware. And so now, granted, this is just a theory. I don't know if Quentin Tarantino's ever even come out and said this, but when you think about like, okay, that's kind of fun to look at. That's kind of fun to think about right there. So pretty much Django. Django, that one actually that might be part of the ultra violent universe. I don't know, but as far as Inglourious Bastards, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown, those take place in the Even True Romance. If you consider that part of that same universe, takes place in the real universe as opposed to the film universe in Quentin Tarantino movies.
Huh.
Does that make
These
any
are always
sense?
those kind of things where it's like you know for a fact that the director never like thought that whatsoever. It's kind of like with Robert
Yeah,
Zemeckis. You know for a fact that that was not his idea when he made Back to the Future. That's
yeah. The Quentin
that
Tarantino
only
thing, it's
happens
a
like when you
fun thing to
watch the movie
think
like
about.
way too many times.
Yeah, I mean that stuff that's fun to think about and fun to look at, and I can see that possibly, but at the same time, I mean I'm not nothing I'm going to like invest too much thought into, you
Yeah,
know?
that's like I was looking at this thing today actually on like the news, and some guy had put together. I don't know really what his fucking credentials are to put this together, but he put down like since they kind of released that Zelda timeline, you know, everybody's kind of going like, or Nintendo did that. They're like, okay, now show us the Mario timeline next because this is fucking breaking news. We're like, we need to know. We got to get our Mario straight here. So,
I thought Mario was already pretty straightforward.
not timeline wise, you know what I mean?
Mario's not? Really? I thought that there was no real coherent kind of like epic ongoing story. I always assumed it was just kind of okay, this is Mario doing what Mario
Well,
does. He just always saves.
that's what Shigeru
But
Miyamoto said. He was kind of like that. That's kind of how you look at Mario. It's just like fuck. It's like this is what he does.
it's what he does.
What
Yeah.
he does. It's just most unenthusiastic. Just like yeah.
If there was some deep kind of like Zelda kind of weird secret timeline and kind of something to that effect from Mario, that'd be really cool and that actually pique my interest. But hearing that offhand, that actually kind of makes me wonder. So people actually want like a Mario timeline? I thought it was just all there. Like they just Bowser kidnaps Peach, whatever. Mario goes up, Mario and Luigi go off and save her, and sometimes they make the time to play tennis and golf cart race or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
this thing literally goes in to like how all this stuff goes in, even like the cart game.
this was actually a news story.
This was in the news. It was, as I said.
Really? Like news, or like MSNBC, CNN type news.
No, not that news. I read it online. News.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, like, is it like, why we're looking at things going on, like in the Middle East,
They're
or
like,
in like,
okay,
or
we know it's
a little
snowing
ticker
really
bar,
bad in New York right now, but there's something
a
more
little ticker
pressing at
bar at the
hand.
bottom.
This affects all
There's
of
a little,
us.
there's a little ticker bar at the bottom, like new Mario, like timeline revealed or whatever.
Well, yeah. Well, since there's so many Mario games in this list, I'm not going to read them all, but I'll just read off like kind of like sections of it. Okay, so it starts off with all the Yoshi's Island games. Makes sense, right?
I know that.
Okay.
That seems
For
normal.
some reason, after that, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time is next, and that's
I didn't
before
think
even
that was a
Donkey
real.
Kong.
I thought that was some Partners in Time. I thought that was some bullshit that was just made to teach kids type and history. I thought that's all that was. I didn't even know that was part of the real chronology. I thought that was like Link's Adventure
No, no,
type
you're
thing.
thinking of the Mario Goes Back in Time, like the educational one for Super Nintendo. Is that
The educational one, Mario teaches
no
typing, and where is
Mario and
Mario?
Luigi's Partners in Time is it's kind of a
Oh,
the
yeah,
D. I
yeah.
think it's
That's
on the
like
DS or
the
Game Boy Advance, and it's a
DS.
spin off of like Paper Mario and Mario RPG, I guess.
Oh yeah, because there's Partners in Time. There's the one where it's like, because yeah, that Partners in Time. It's like where they meet up with their baby versions of themselves, and it's like a tag team kind of thing. Like where, yeah, I remember that now. Okay.
Okay, so we go on. Okay, we got the Donkey Kongs next, and then that leads from Donkey Kong 3 leads into the Donkey Kong Country series. And then after that, it's Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, and then it goes on to Super Mario Brothers 3D Land before number 3.
I guess because the raccoon
Yeah, I
ears,
guess
or
that's it. And then after that, Super Mario RPG, which seems like a strange one.
I didn't think it really mattered.
Once again, I don't think it really matters.
Still,
This is just the list. Okay, next is Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario World, and Super Mario Sunshine.
Sunshine was before 64.
Apparently, that's how life got. Fucking Galaxies before 64. And the Paper
What?
Mario series. I'm not too sure how that works. And Dr. Mario.
Okay.
No, we're not even at Super Mario
really,
64 yet. Super Mario 3D World takes place, and then Super Mario 64. And then we get to New Super Mario Brothers. Then more Mario and Luigi. Mario Kart. Luigi's Mansion 2.
That's the most vital part of the story.
More of like the same games. And then we finally get to like Super Princess Peach. Mario Party. And then all the other Mario sports titles. And then Super Mario Land 2. And Wario Land ends it. So apparently Super Mario Land takes place way after everything else. And I think probably the reason they're saying that is for the fact that it's got not Pauline, it's got
Daisy?
yeah, Daisy in there. So maybe that's like one of those ones like,
Peach
Luigi was
died
like,
and,
banging Daisy this whole time, and then at this one point, I don't know, something went down, and then like he's like, oh, okay, now Mario's going after her, and then Wario Land happened. So is that saying that like life just ends with like, was Wario just end up like, killing Mario and Luigi and going, oh, this is my world now.
I don't even know if take that mean Shigeru Miyamoto said, "Yep, this is the official one."
Miyamoto
I didn't even
didn't
think there
say
was. Okay,
This
well,
is like
I think that's somebody just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Uncredited guy
That's
like
not even.
with a video game history degree or something.
I don't even see how that happens right there. I honestly believe that it's just like there's another one. This one's in space. This one they're on a board game. Like I don't even think that there is any real ongoing connecting story unless it's like happens to be maybe the first few have that, but then I mean the prequels is obviously Yoshi's Island type stuff, and then you go into then you probably go into like the Paper Mario games. Those probably go in a certain order, I would imagine, but I think that's someone looking way too damn hard at it. I think you're. I mean, I would kind of like. In all honesty, I kind of would like to see like.
Shigeru
Because
Miyamoto's
don't get me wrong.
history of Mario universe.
Part of me, if it called for it, if they did something interesting. Because here's the thing about Mario: he's one of my favorite video games of all time. He's probably one of my most favorite fictional characters. But in all honesty, since I've gotten older, even though I still like the games, there's not really a whole lot making me run back to it because, I mean, look, it's a fun game. It's a fun game. And when I get a Wii U, one of the first games I'm getting is the 3D World.
Yeah, 'cause it's
And
game.
yeah. But really, it's because it's a fun game. It's not really the story, and it's the world. It's more nostalgia. I can honestly say in Legend of Zelda, I think it's a really cool world and a really interesting just setting. And I think when you actually kind of look at the different paths the whole thing could go, that's a pretty interesting one to look at.
Well, here,
I think if Mario, if what would kind of interest me is they don't have to do this, but I mean, if they tried doing something different with Mario. Like, it wasn't really, well, here's like the brand new Mario, man. It's more like just try and do like a pocket universe one where you're not afraid to get a little bit more experimental, get a little darker. And by dark, I don't mean like, like Grand Theft Auto, like Mushroom Kingdom, or like, or, like Bowser's like murder rampage or anything like that. But try, like, don't be afraid to kind of like try different artistic style, but just with characters we love and know. You know what I mean? Give it something
Like a Sonic
like,
Boom.
well, I guess something kind of like a Sonic Boom. I mean, I haven't played Sonic Boom. I know you said you liked it. I've heard negative reviews on it.
Everybody else
play it
seems
for
to not
myself.
like it. As I said, like as a Sonic fan, I thought it's the best Sonic game I played in a long time.
Well, I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot. But I mean, I guess something kind of like that to an effect. I don't know. Just give it a different type of a different type of look, a different type of world. Not real, like not even like a reboot, like a pocket universe kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's its own standalone world. This is the one where they can be experimental, try different things with these characters we know and love, and then we still have our standard stuff for is like is a catch-all.
Well, that's kind of like what Super Mario RPG was when you really think about it. It almost felt like this is we're using characters we know and love, but we're going to try it in an RPG style. We're going to change some things around. We're going to see these things characters we've never seen before or since then. There's a bunch of characters in there that never happened to appear in any other Mario game, and that's almost a perfect example of what you kind of want to see, but just nowadays.
Yeah, well, that's a good way of going about it. On top of that, like every so often, I just kind of wonder about this kind of thing, and we've mentioned it several times in the podcast, but every so often they talk about making like Nintendo producing their own movies. And one of them is, of course, Mario, and saying another stab at that. I kind of wonder what they would do second time around. People say, oh, just go the Pixar route, but I think that's kind of the predictable one. I'm kind of wondering, what would you do? How would you present it live action? Because you would have to present it differently. I think you would almost have to present it as kind of like a Guillermo del Toro kind of, maybe not like as dark or as grim, but something to that effect. And I think that would be kind of interesting to see. You know what I mean? It could still look cartoonish, of course, but I mean, I would just like to see him try something a little different with these characters.
Yeah.
Just story-wise. Because the game, if there's one thing Mario is always good about, it's the gameplay. And that's always fun, but after a while, it just becomes kind of the same thing lately with all the new Super Mario Brothers stuff. So now it's like, well, if you want to actually kind of get me a little more invested again, because I know the gameplay is going to be at least decent, just try a different aesthetic.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's my opinion.
Well, this is kind of like how I think about sometimes Mario. It's just, or when it comes to like movies, it's like, yeah, they can always do the CG movie and do it the Pixar style. That just seems kind of like half-assing it, in my opinion. That's kind of like, yeah, that's easy to do. Trying to take that and then make a live-action movie, that's where you got to put some more skill into it, I think. But going really quickly, I want to say before we even get past that, I can almost like think of that guy's like lineup. What if this is how it is? I can almost debunk that guy's like list. What if Yoshi's Island is not the beginning of Mario, but it's actually the end? Because think about
what if that's like his kid?
Yeah, what if it's Mario and Luigi's kids? Because here's the thing, they appear in the Mario Kart games. They appear in the Mario Party games. They're all together. I have broken
that's
that
like his bastard child that just like follows him around like, Papa, I just want your love and affection.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Go back to the dinosaur island where I dropped you off.
He just drops him off like, Yoshi, this was a mistake. This wasn't meant to happen. You watch this.
You make sure you take him to the Shy Guys and get rid of him.
I don't need this, man. I don't fucking need this.
And then Luigi shows up. He's like, Mario, I have one too. He's like, Luigi, why did you do that?
Yeah. Wario has one. They just all like send their bastard children to this island for these reptiles to take care of.
Is Wario? Is there a baby Wario?
Yeah, there's one that came. I never played it, but there's one for the DS, and it basically you could almost choose which baby you're carrying with you, and that baby gives you a certain power up. And I want to say it's Mario, Luigi, Peach, Wario, and Donkey Kong.
Huh.
And
now, is this that one that just came out for the 3DS one?
I don't think it just came out. Maybe it was a 3DS game, but it still plays like a 2D. It still plays 2D. It looks kind of. I never played it. It came out like.
It looks just like the Super Nintendo one.
It looks. I mean, in all honesty, they those games. I mean, they're fun, but they kind of run together. I have trouble keeping track of which one's which. But it was one where you can almost choose which baby you were carrying, I believe, and that would give you a certain power up or a certain kind of ability depending on what kid you had with you.
Interesting. Huh, that must have been. I know they had one for I think they had one for DS and also one for 3DS.
I couldn't imagine because Wario is such a little bastard. What does he do? Just throw his shit at people? Or
yeah, it's like God knows what he does.
Yeah. It's like it's kind of like, no, I understand why they got rid of this one. No one wants this one, you know?
Yeah, this kid, we understand why, but Mario and Luigi's kids, well, they seem like decent children, except they're always crying all the time.
These fucking kids, yeah. And then even Baby Bowser, I guess Baby Bowser, like he's kind of like doing like he's doing a startup for his dad. He's trying to prove something for his dad by being kind of like, started trying to like take over, like, all right, I start off with like taking over like these dumb reptiles island, and from there I can kind of go on,
Yeah, these dumb reptiles island that always seem to win and persevere.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they assume they're stupid just because all they can say is their names. They just kind of like whatever they eat, they just throw basically their shit at whatever, But basically, they shit eggs. That's what they do.
And then they chuck them.
Yeah.
They're like, this must be like a race of like, not very intelligent dinosaurs.
But for some reason they produce like goddamn rabbits,
They have
so they
charisma.
don't go there. Yeah. They seem to be very loyal and loving, even if you just kind of like abandon them.
Or drop them off the side of a cliff, or
they're easily startled though. They're easily startled. If you just like if they lightly get hit, just like, oh fuck, just run the other way.
But then you can just jump on their backs again, and then they're all like settled.
That's fine. That for some reason that settles them. Like, okay, someone's sitting on me. I guess it's okay now. All right. Yeah. This is kind of going off topic for a second, but I remember there was actually like rumors, because this goes back in the early days of the internet, and you just kind of going off word of mouth around the playground. There's a rumor when I was a kid that you could actually catch Yoshi somewhere in Pokemon. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, the mini Pokemon rumors. I do remember that one, the Yoshi.
Mm-hmm.
I love how there are so many. Like feels like you almost don't get those anymore. I think it's all due just for the internet being everywhere. Because that was a time period where like one kid in the school or two kids in the school might have had the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So like internet was so rare that word of mouth was still this like weird way that people like made up like rumors and myths and so on. Which nowadays is just like, when was the last time there was like a surprise in a video game where people like really questioned it? Like never. It's almost kind of why I think you don't find codes in video games anymore too, because they're just not cool or secretive or like as fun as they used to be.
We're going to take a quick break right here. But now a word from our buddies at Painted Black Podcast. Take a listen.
I'm Pete, that's Brian. Yeah. There's Lou. We are Painted Black Podcast. We are Painted Black Comics.
If you could describe the show, what would you describe it?
Horribly offensive.
Balls to the walls.
A good time.
I don't know. Unprofessional. I wouldn't be surprised if fucking Barney heard some screaming from next door. Right?
Hey, yo, Fred, I got kicked out of the house. Can I stay with you guys for a little bit? No, Barney. We're not friends like that.
You better go stay with Kazoo.
Yeah. Dum-dum, you should have said yes to your wife. Can you imagine what Disney World would have been like had he lived longer?
No Jews. That's the primary difference.
Yeah. I feel like he funded the Nazis in some way. I can't prove it.
The first fucking model of their helmet had ears on it.
Oh, the Basketeers coming over the hill. What the fuck's going on?
Dosan sounds like a Renaissance painter.
He was the fifth Ninja Turtle. He wasn't right in the head. They didn't really bring him out too much. I'd like to fight the foot.
That's probably why they had all the stupid ass toppings.
Bubble gum.
Fuck, who let those sounds order the pizza?
I want
again?
stink bug!
Who put Legos on this shit? Can I give you money for sex?
I would enjoy you making a transaction for a blowjob.
Can I get a receipt with that pussy?
Oh, yeah. How do I follow this?
Do you wash those briefs with starch?
Make that booty clap. Why don't you?
Let's hear Randy Newman doing the song for Pompeii.
Oh, he's on the spot.
Whoa, did smoke. Volcano. Whoa, it's the smoke.
The last legitimate surprise I believe I got in a video game was when John Marston dies, and in Red Dead Redemption.
Well, yeah, but that's not like.
But even before that, though, there were like Rockstar did that with I think L.A. Noire. I never played it, but I know that when you die at some point in the game and you play as your kid grown up like years later.
Yeah, but that's a different kind of thing. That's not like catching fucking Yoshi. It wasn't like John Marston just all of a sudden. It was just like, it's like, oh, if you kind of go towards this wall here and like punch this like window, and next thing you know, you end up in like Vice City or something weird like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about things like that. That's all story driven stuff. That's bound to happen. I'm talking about just those weird rumors that like kids would make up, for games that you already put a bunch of hours in anyways, and then they start telling you about like. If you go to that truck, you can like talk to it, and then, or if you surf on that truck and by the ship on the SS. And yeah, it's like.
Don't ask me how I remember that.
And then if you strengthen the truck, you can push it, and inside there, that's Mew, like one of those kind of weird rumors.
Yeah, there's that one. There's also, I remember there's one where it's just like, yeah, you get the I remember, were AMs the permanent ones or PMs are the permanent ones, right? Those are the really important ones, the PMs, where they would.
Oh, you talking about the HM and the TMs?
HM, there you go, HM.
Oh, you're just thinking of AM PM right now.
Yeah.
Like, which one's the important one? The one where I can get the Slurpees at or the gasoline? Oh, wait, that's the same place.
Yeah. That's where my mind's at today. No, there is the one that, flash, cut, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, those are all the HM ones. Those are the ones that you're always like, it's a decision. I can't like get rid of it once I put it there.
Mm-hmm. There was like, I remember there was one kid who said like, oh yeah, there's one you have to get called Jump, and you go to Pallet Town, you jump over the fence. The only one that could take it is Meowth or whatever, and he has to be at this level. And then when you go over there, you meet the Pokey Gods, and it's like a totem pole, and this and that. It's like, well, what the fuck, Just like, where'd this kid pull this out of?
Well, that's why I always kind of wonder. It's like, where do people get that? Do they literally just sit at home on their bed, just going like, I'm going to go to school tomorrow, I'm going to make up this wild story and tell everybody, and everybody's going to think I'm so cool.
And they're going to like me,
Well, yeah, but some of those rumors, though, it's like we heard about them, even though we were in like different schools and so on. So it makes you just wonder where they all start. Well, Shigeru Miyamoto's at home laying on his bed, just kind of going like, how can we make these people like get all these weird rumors about Nintendo games?
Yeah, he he'll throw like a weird little nod, and like the internet will do the rest. Like I just gotta say, this game takes place before Mario 1, but then throw that same kid in one of the spin-off games where they're racing each other, and everybody else do the hard work for me. I'm not even gonna try. I even believe, maybe I'm wrong here, maybe I'm 100% wrong, but I even believe that whole like Legend of Zelda time frame thing. Mm-hmm. I honestly believe. Now, I think it's one of those things that started off is them just kind of like, all right, whatever. Yeah, okay, so he's saving the world again. And then people started kind of like putting it together, and then Nintendo just ran with it. I think that maybe I'm wrong there, but I believe Nintendo kind of like just ran with it. Like, okay, they just like, that's actually kind of an interesting theory. Let's go with that.
Yeah, because...
And then later they presented one like, here's one you bitches never thought of. What if Link died,
Yeah, and then it's like now in the book, they got where it splits off into two different types of worlds, where like one goes into the Wind Waker style, and one goes to the Ocarina of Time style.
And there's like, there's 3 worlds, because there's what if there's the world that he never came back from. There's like the world
there's just 2. It starts with 1, and then it splits the left and right.
Okay, I heard there's one though. Okay, well, what I heard there is another one though, where it's like, okay, this is one where the world is without him because he just went into the future or whatever. Then there's one with him, and then there's one where he went against Ganon but died in the process, and that made like a 3rd or something like that. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I don't remember the 3rd unless for some reason there's one where it just didn't lead to any video games. Maybe that could have been something like that. Oh yeah.
No, I think
here it is. Never mind, you are right. It does split into 3.
Fucking yeah! All right, sorry, I had to let that out.
For some reason, this doesn't look the way I remember in my book, though, but that's okay. Hopefully it's not somebody else created this. Now I'm just going to tell some fucking weird-ass story. But it goes Skyward Sword, Minish Cap, 4 Swords, and then Ocarina of Time, which is like the weirdest thing ever. It's like, where the fuck does that 4 Swords fit in there in Minish Cap? I thought that, for some reason, went on the other one.
At one point in time, that was like the first one, but I think Skyward Sword came in or something.
Yeah, I remember the Minish Cap one. So then we got, on the far left, we got Link defeats Ganon. It's the childhood branch. And then he goes into Majora's Mask, and then Majora's Mask kid grows up to be Twilight Princess, and then the 4 Swords Adventures. Once again, God knows where that 4 Swords Adventures just comes in. That just literally feels like that just, where are we going to put that? I don't know if I can throw at the end of that one.
Link's crossbow training is actually a very pivotal part somewhere in the in the universe.
They explain in the book. They go, Link's crossbow training is actually not canon in the series. It makes now we got to wonder where we put Hyrule Warriors now.
I heard that was actually just kind of like because he jumps from different timelines to different worlds.
Well, there's
and all
like
that, so.
there's a girl in it that jumps from different timelines. Link doesn't jump from different timelines.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you were going to different worlds and all that. I don't know where that one would be. Maybe that one's not canon, but
I like that.
People-
I like to assume that one is because that's actually one of the coolest ones. Like to me, that feels like something that would take place. Like, well, fuck, who knows where that take place? Well, then okay, now we have the middle one. Link defeats Ganon. It's the adult one. Then he goes Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and then Spirit Tracks. So pretty much all Toon Link ones. And then Link fails to defeat Ganon.
that's right because he beat him and then he left that world to go back to live his childhood. That's what it was.
Yeah. And then Link fails to defeat Ganon. This is where we get told like the better games mostly. Link to the Past, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, Link's Awakening, and then Zelda 1 and 2, which is so weird how like the first ones are the last ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's just weird how they come up with these timelines because sometimes you just like you look at some games it's like that totally makes sense. I get that. And you look at other ones, it's just like that must have just been so shoehorned in there.
Yeah.
There's no other way. That's just like.
Well, I think there's some things like, oh, well, where do the 4 links come from? Well, in Twilight Princess, there's the whole like or I don't even remember. Someone said because there's like a little the mirror thing. I don't fucking remember.
Yeah, it's just like
the 4. Obviously, the 3 other links come from like that parallel world or whatever you can go into in Twilight Princess. It's like the time travel thing. This is the episode where I just get confused way too easily. It's by things I bring up too, nonetheless. So
exactly, I don't know. It's like that thing people have had the Final Fantasy discussion too, where they're always like, "Well, is this like?" Final Fantasy is like this world, it's like in like thousands upon thousands of years later. That's like when the next Final Fantasy takes place, and then thousands upon thousands of years later. And I just kind of go, it's Final Fantasy. They're each their own individual game.
what I heard was, I mean, granted, I've never been a hardcore Final Fantasy fan. I mean, I always had appreciation for certain characters, and I played 7 in parts of other games, but I mean, I heard it was basically they had like a format. So okay, this like each character represents like you have like the monk, the warrior, whatever, and each game it's a reincarnation of those characters like each time. So you know what I mean?
So it's kind of like the Zelda thing. That's almost like the similar style.
So yeah, like the you got the squall, like or you got like
You got the
okay,
knight,
so, like,
you got the mage, you got the
and
warrior,
they're
the thief.
reincarnations. They're reincarnations of people from the previous game. It's just these different souls keep on going on to the next person, like that.
But then how's that
And
explained why the world's so different?
And then like that's just thousands upon thousands of years later or whatever, or it's something around the effect of like what was the other one? It had because they always follow. What also makes the game is they follow the same story beats. Like it always involves some whimsical thing about life, and then there's also they try to make you feel bad for the villain somehow, or try and make it a tragic villain to some effect. You know what I mean? I don't really know. Off the top of my head, it seems like nearly every Final Fantasy villain, there's somebody they try to make you have sympathy for.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in all of them, but
A lot of the
I guess
time,
maybe
at
it's some of like not the modern ones because like I can't say for those ones, but like in maybe 7, 8, 9, and 10, maybe a bit of that. But
Number one,
a lot of the
like
older ones, it's like, no, this guy's
just
evil.
some asshole-
Yeah, this
some
guy's
asshole
fucking
still
screwing up the land. Go out there and kill him. I'm a king. I'm telling you what to do. You're
Some
like, oh,
assholes
okay, I
still-
guess I'll go out there. And the first thing you do is you walk through the woods. You're like, holy fuck, that king didn't tell me that this woods was really dangerous.
Yeah, pretty much. I remember I bought like the collection for 1 and 2 for PlayStation 1, and
That's
just
a
because
good
I was
version
really
of them.
I was really trying to get into Final Fantasy, but it's not really for me. It's not that I even dislike it. I just really can't get into it that much,
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones like you just got like a lot of people.
You gotta grow up.
People
with
have a hard time with the RPG thing. That's already like you're asking a lot of somebody to play an RPG because that style is just not like natural. I think to most people, like the stand still and take turns and press buttons and don't really like action.
Here's the thing. I'm fine with that. I guess I just have trouble getting into the story. Not even that I hate the story. I just have trouble getting into like JRPG stories a lot of the time. And a lot of times I guess they feel kind of, because I mean, I'm not trying to judge people here, but I mean, you can't. I mean, look, I fucking bought an Admiral Adbar bobblehead thing today. Who the fuck am I to judge anybody? But I mean,
What's wrong with Admiral Akbar? You putting him down? You putting him on a pedestal?
I ain't putting him down. I'm putting down the fact I spent $10 on a chunk of plastic that I don't really need. But I love Admiral Akbar though.
Yeah, I don't complain. It's like there's stupider things out there to get. And I don't even consider that even a stupid thing.
No, I get you. But the what was I saying? It seems a lot of times the stories are aimed at kind of like pissed off kids. Not even pissed, or that might be too harsh. Like adolescent, kind of like, man, I don't have any faith in myself. How am I going to save the world? Like that type of shit. And at least recently, they've seemed that way. And they're always so kind of like clean cut and like metrosexual and all that. And it just seems like I looked at the trailer to the new one, and it sounds
the 15 or the Type O one.
I can't keep them fucking straight. There's one that I saw the trailer to it, and I'll be honest, bare bones concept sounds interesting. It's a couple of guys like in a car it almost looks kind of like a road trip movie, and they're kind of on the run from the government, and parts of it look kind of cool, in all honesty. Parts of it, it's kind of a cool aesthetic. But then you see the way the guys look, and they all look like they're from some like really like flashy Japanese ad, like fashion ad of some kind, and it's just like I guess this kind of goes into like the whole thing we were saying earlier, like you're letting that ruin it for you. Well, not entirely. I mean, I never really got into the game series, but I just can't believe, in all honesty, that a lot of these guys have really seen that much battle just because they're these guys that are like super like, well, I don't want to get too dirty. I might like mess up my hair,
Yeah, well, because it's like in like the earlier Final Fantasies, you don't really have that problem because they all look like rugged warrior legs. And, it's probably about 8's maybe like the closest one it kind of gets there because the characters but they're supposed to be young.
I like the design for those characters. I like the
yeah, because 8 has my favorite look, but I think since the characters are supposed to be technically younger, even though they all feel like they're like 25 years old, even though they're like this, Squall's 17. It's like I don't know. I still look at Squall and he looks older than me, but other than that,
Squall I can take. I mean, like that one looks fine.
I think it's once you get about to pretty much 10 when you get Titus and stuff like that.
By that point they start. I mean, like even some characters still look cool in that one. Just this point, they look like a bunch of like because they're all dressed in black and they just look like a bunch of emo kids. You know what I mean?
And I think that's probably due to Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, I think, put it sort of in that direction. And once again, I always say this: once the creator of Final Fantasy kind of left, it all went sort of a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
Everything sort of changed at that point. So. Because, 1 through 9, I mean, mostly all the characters are pretty rugged. I mean, you always have a couple guys that kind of, like, maybe look kind of feminine, but, like, not really that much.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think Final Fantasy, I think it's one of those ones, like, there was the golden age of Final Fantasy, which I think is pretty much about from 4 to 9. That's about the big golden age of there. When the games are really, pretty much just the fucking 90s, let me just say it like that. When those games are just fantastic, and they did a great job, and they had really good stories, and amazing music, and great gameplay. And then after that, once the main creator left, they had 10, and 10's not really like a bad game. It's just not up to par to the other ones.
I don't care for Titus. Titus kind of annoying.
Yeah, Titus kind of annoying. I hate the level up system in it. I don't like how there's not a world map. It's kind of like the beginning of the end. You see all the problems.
I liked Blue Baka. I liked Blue Baka.
Yeah, and I like Orin, I think was his name. The guy who like.
I don't even know his real name, but I call him Blue Baka because he's basically a blue Chewbacca.
Oh yeah, that guy. And then there's like
what was his name? What was his name?
I can't remember. I haven't played that game since it came out.
And yeah,
I actually forgot about that character until you mentioned it. I thought you were talking about like the guy named Waka in it.
Waka, I like Waka. I even liked. Really, when I think back on that game, all the characters that I know, the only one I really didn't like was Titus.
Yeah, he just wasn't relatable. I don't know.
For being kind of like the big jock, he seemed very much kind of like a whiny pushover,
Well, yeah, he just might have kind of like the quarterback jock who kind of like he got there because his dad was like, like coach for the team or something like that. Like it wasn't really based totally on skill and like the guy that should have got it.
It was. I guess his dad totally was the kind of like, quit crying, you pussy, because there always was that thing like, don't cry, like his dad was always kind of a dick to him, and like
his dad was actually kind of a badass too in that game.
That was one I never beat just because the ones I played was 7. I got pretty far in 7. I didn't ever beat it, but I got pretty far. But I feel like it's one of those games. I hear so much about it. I got fairly far. I feel like I know how it ends and all that. 10, never finished it just because I wasn't, not that I even disliked it. I just couldn't get into it. And I only spent $10 on it used. And then
10-2 was the one that was like Sounds weird. It's like
Charlie's Angels.
That's like the last one I thought was really good. It's like Charlie's Angels. I know for some reason Charlie's Angels offends people, but it's like I like Charlie's Angels. I got no problem with that. And the thing I like about that game is that game had one of the best like playing systems in it. It's like it was almost like a greatest hits of all the battle systems of all the old games.
I played that one actually. I played that one a little bit. And
plus, you leveled up in it, and then it's kind of nice because that game wasn't that long. It was like it took you, I think maybe 20 hours if that, which for an RPG is really short. But it was the perfect length.
And that was one that actually had multiple endings, didn't it?
Yeah, you could get multiple endings in it too. So I thought that was really cool.
Isn't you'd have like dark ending where everyone died. You got the ending where he was alive and you could save him or whatever or something to that effect.
Yeah, I only beat it once, but I really enjoyed it. At some point, I feel like I should get that HD collection, but now it's coming out for PS4, so it's like I guess I'll just wait for then.
Mm-hmm.
They just keep doing weird things like that. But
I'll say this: that I absolutely, even though I think I generally like the characters for 7, I like the way they look and all that. I hated the villains in Advent Children. Those 3 like emo like
Sephiroth's
kids.
like kids. It's like
his dumpster babies that won like his approval. I hated
he tried
them.
to dump them off on Dinosaur Island and then just kind of came back.
They found a way.
It was him, Mario, Master Chief, all jumping off their kids on Dinosaur Island.
Even like the babies, like no. The Yoshi's like those aren't welcome here. Just push these little emo fuckers off on the raft.
Yoshi just goes Yoshi, and just points to a sign that just says no emos.
Or just like the most they do from they make a little wooden raft and they just push it off and like they just throw a watermelon for him like that. And there you go. That's as much as you're getting.
And then Sephiroth just looks at it and questions it like, "What? Wait, no emos?" I'm like, "I'm not emo. Fuck, don't call me emo." He gets all like defensive. He's like, "Yeah, but
just that
you
song.
might not be emo, but look what your kids came out emo. Look how colorful our island is. We can't have any black tarnishing it now. It's like it's a nice bright day out there."
Oh wow! Now you put it in that perspective. Yoshi seemed kind of racist.
I know that sounds horrible.
You don't want all these dark colors here.
Yeah, it didn't really mean it like that. I just meant it like
we're
bright
all colors of the rainbow except one.
Yeah, there's one color missing in the rainbow. We don't want it here. You just see a bunch of Yoshi stand behind him, like in brightly colored, like Ku Klux Klan outfits. We're like, oh man, Mario's like, maybe this isn't the place to drop our kids off. Luigi just goes like, yeah, nobody else is gonna take them.
I'm not planning on raising this thing anyway. Here, you take it. Those babies are resourceful though. They find a way off that goddamn island.
Oh, they always do. Even Sephiroth's kids did. I just think that'd be just a funny picture, just like Yoshi stand there, like at like a toll booth, like taken in, and you just see this long line of like I said superheroes, but I mean video game characters, and they're all holding like a kid. Like you got Sonic, you got Master Chief, you got Mario, you got Sephiroth.
What's Master Chief? Is that just the standard baby with a helmet on?
And then you just see on like the left and right side of Yoshi, there's like one where it's like, okay, there's kind of like a little like farming area where they have a bunch of kids stand there, and then there's just on the left side there's just a dumpster for the unwanted. It just says the unwanted and unloved section.
They just have like playing in like in the waiting room. They just have na 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 playing in a loop.
This is the be careful. Be careful.
That almost sounds like something like the protagonist of a Japanese horror film is walking down some dark, creepy alleyway or some dark, creepy hallway.
A bunch of Yoshi singing to him.
The Grudge lady is about to pop up any minute. That song starts to play.
To the Yoshi warning you.
Yeah. And it's all off key. It sounds kind of like like a music box, just kind of like slightly off, like ding, 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 like not exactly like matching in, syncing in with the words correctly.
Yeah, and then like the keys off a bit, like it's just not there all the way music wise.
Oh God, yeah. That the song is already like a little unsettling as it is, but that right there just makes it that much more creepy.
I'd like to see just like Yoshi's Dumpster Baby Island.
Yoshi's Dumpster Baby Island. Well, that's the next one in the pipes. Whenever that's more likely not going to be their next game, maybe a few games down the road when they come up with another 3DS. Maybe the last 3DS game. Who knows?
Well, we got the new 3DS coming out, so we could have Yoshi's Dumpster Baby Island on new 3DS.
Is that what it's called? New 3DS?
Yeah, it comes out not next week, but I think the week after.
Oh, I have not been keeping up with
You never
that.
heard of the new 3DS? I thought I told you
I
about
heard
it on the
you
podcast.
mentioned it, but I have not seen any actual games or any trailers for it. Like, so
They got this Majora's Mask one that's like bundled with it.
I
which
thought is
kinda
Majora's Mask going to play on regular 3DS or only new?
Yeah,
3DS?
it plays on regular 3DS. I don't think they have any games that are out. They're supposed to have Xenoblade Chronicles. I think it's supposed to be the first game that's like pretty much you have to have a new 3DS to play, and so I guess that by that standard, I guess the new 3DS is going to be up to like Wii standards. So it's
Really?
gonna be almost like it's gonna be like a portable Wii. So that's kind of cool.
That's
and then
crazy.
it sounds like one of those ones where it doesn't seem like they got a whole lot in it, but they put a better processor in it. You know, they put the second joysticks just already on there, and that will work with any of the old games that have the double joystick. So that's cool. They add another button there, and then I think they just kind of once again they made the screen sharper. The 3D is supposed to be better, which who cares about that part? There was a guy I was talking to on Twitter, and he made a comment. He's like, "Well, I don't really care about the new 3DS until they had come out with the new 2DS." And I couldn't help but
Till they
laugh.
what?
It's just they come out with the new
you cut out-
2DS.
They come out the new 2DS.
He's like, "I don't want a new 3DS. I want a new 2DS."
Yeah, you don't really need the 3D, so that's a good point right there. I'm not going to buy it right away. I probably wait to come out the new 2DS.
Yeah, it's like suppose if I can get that Zelda one, I'd probably buy it. If not, I'll probably just wait.
Because the 3D is one of those things like, yeah, it looks cool for a little bit, but you're not. Our eyes aren't really made to like be looking at like something in, like that, like that optical illusion for that long. So it kind of wears off quickly.
No, but it's one of those ones like I just know there's gonna be some game down the line that they're gonna have for it that's gonna be like pretty sweet, and you're gonna want to have it for it. So it's like, might as well get one of those new 3DSs at some point. But yeah, until then, I don't think there's anything that's like you got to go out and get one. And it's also like I could use the joystick on my Resident Evil Revelations. I guess that second joystick might be cool, but it's not like I think it's a total like it's like why are they making this version? Like, what's the point of it? But I always kind of like the different Game Boys. I always think it's kind of What are you gonna say?
Have they released any trailers of upcoming? Have they released upcoming trailers for any of these games right here?
I think there was a new Zelda trailer for Majora's Mask, and then there was a Xenoblade Chronicles one. I didn't watch any of them, but I saw it up here on my Nintendo thing. And then there's Monster Hunter 4. I think you can still play that on 3DS.
I think something that all companies do, especially Nintendo recently, is can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're kind of cutting back and forth.
Yeah, I got this little connection error thing keeps on popping up. This something they seem to almost do now. Before it seemed like they'd have to have a couple of big launch releases, but now it seems like they make the console and then they kind of get the launch. Then they slap together updated remastered version of something, and then kind of like a half-ass launch release. That's what it seems like a lot of time and age when they come out with a new system.
Yeah, I know that's kind of weird. Pretty much everybody does that now, which is kind of dumb because I remember there was a time period where you had such good launch releases, and that time seems to pass. But I don't know. Till then, I'm still excited. I'm more just excited for the new Majora's Mask. But probably should wrap this podcast up. Yeah, we're getting some technical errors, so I think it's probably about a good place to close it. One thing really quickly, though. I showed you this, or I sent you a link for it this morning. What do you think of that new Fantastic Four trailer?
Oh, Fantastic Four trailer. Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie. That was all a little, let me exit off this thing and try to minimize this and bring it back up. Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, because you keep on going in and out. Fantastic Four trailer, the new one. I'm curious. I'm not going to lie. It looks a hell of a lot better than the first two. And that right there, it's not saying a whole lot, but it still looks a lot better. It almost looks like something different from the Marvel movies because it looks like it's not Marvel Studio, but it almost looks like they're trying to Christopher Nolan it. And I know that's kind of a term people use a lot, but it looks more of like we're trying to make this big, epic kind of sci-fi movie as opposed to another superhero movie. And I can understand why they're trying to do that, and because they're probably trying to separate themselves as much from the first two. If I had
because
to
guess, it even has that scene where there's a quick scene where it's Johnny Storm, he's on his knees crying, and it looks like he just incinerated a bunch of people around him.
Yeah, well, what's his Michael B. Jordan's playing Johnny Storm in this one, so that should be. that's caused a lot of controversy, but I could, whatever. I think that I guess it's going to separate it and make it different from Chris Evans. So I guess they're trying to separate it as much as possible, but because they're actually making it, he's adopted by like Sue Storm's family in this one or whatever. But
so they're changing around some stuff with it.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of people pissed off about it, which I mean that's one of those things I'm always for, of kind of like keeping the character's original race, but at the same time, I don't think Johnny Storm is so big of a character that it's gonna, because you say Clark Kent, you say Peter Parker, you say Batman, you automatically know. You say Johnny Storm, it's going to take a minute for most people. I mean, comic book fans know, but
yeah, they know right at the bat. But
so you say the Flaming Guy, and you just always automatically assume that what comes to mind first thing for Johnny Storm isn't the way how he looks when he's not on fire. It's just when he's on fire. But whatever. I think it looks good. I mean, it didn't really show a whole lot of superhero stuff. It looked more of like if it show like the last like shot of the four of them like with their backs to the screen, you'd almost think you're watching like some like big sci-fi
space movie.
Interstellar Into the World kind of Interstellar, some kind of End of the World movie with the Interstellar type vibe to it. You know what I mean? Something to that effect, or even maybe something probably like not early Ridley Scottish, more like 90s Ridley Scottish, maybe, So
yeah,
I don't know. It looks good. The one thing I'm worried about is because the biggest problem with the first one is there's only like 2 action scenes, and I mean it automatically wasn't really that good of a movie, but there's only 2 action scenes in it, and I'm hoping they don't this movie out for the sake of making it long, because I'm guessing there's probably gonna be a bit of a build-up before they even get into before they even get their powers or into the suits or anything. So I'm hoping it doesn't take too long for that to happen, or at least there's interesting action going on while they're not in the suits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's my only thing, because just looking at the trailer, it doesn't look like anything superhero really happens in it, so I kind of hope that it doesn't have, we're going to wait an hour before we even see anything, and then it's another half an hour till they even get like their character suits or something like that, and then yeah, I hope it's just not too much of a build-up movie, because it's one of those ones like Fantastic Four and the Fantastic Four 2 wasn't that long ago. Hell, the first Fantastic Four 20 years ago wasn't that long ago. So I just hope they don't spend way too much time trying to like get into the characters and like, really, it's just like, let's just get to the point. We know who the Fantastic Four is. We can sum that up, and I know they're not going to do it in this one, but we can really sum that up in 5 minutes, and then let's just get on with the story.
I hope that, I'm fine with kind of treating it like a big, epic sci-fi drama. I think that's cool. I just hope there's more action. And this trailer makes it look like it might take a while to get there, but as long as, as long as it's written very well, I mean, granted, one of my favorite superhero movies of all time, Begins, he doesn't actually get the suit to the halfway point, but there's at least enough interesting things going on.
There's a ton of action, though, between that.
Yeah, enough. There's enough there to make it stand on its own until he gets on the suit. So as long as it can pull it off, they are getting the guy who directed Chronicle for this movie, so that's interesting. And then aside from that, another thing about it was regarding that was I hope that, because maybe they changed it in the comics, but in the movie, Victor Von Doom or Von Dam, however they change his name, he was just like some billionaire douchebag, where in the comics he has his own country of Latveria. I hope they actually make him like leader of Latveria, or I hope he actually has his own country instead of just being some. The people get the movie, they seem like different choices.
No, I'm starting to lose you. I think I totally lost you.
She's going to wear blue suits, just throw her in this shit, even though she doesn't look that much like Sue Storm, and just dye her hair blonde. And then, Chris Evans, I like him, and he didn't do bad. It was just, I think he was written bad. And then, guy that played Reed Richards seemed fine. And the guy, well, he's in the Shield, so throw him in there for the Thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that guy was really good. For me personally, I actually enjoy the original Fantastic Four movie. Or not the original one, but the second one, technically. I don't think it's actually that bad of a movie. I don't think it's an amazing movie, but I don't think it's one of the worst superhero movies. I think it's like a 2.5 out of 4.
I'm not even going to go like 2.5. I really just don't like it. I mean, it was one of those movies that I actually enjoyed it when I saw it in theaters.
to me, I was like, oh, it's good. I mean, not as good maybe X-Men or Spider-Man, but I didn't think it was that far back. You know, and the second one's okay. The second one's probably like maybe a 2 out of 4. I still enjoyed it, but just not as much. I mean, I know. I wish it had more action and so on.
I don't know a whole lot about Fantastic Four. I wish, though. I hope they use. I know Victor Von Doom's going to be in it, but I hope because I just want them to see other Fantastic Four villains because I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know a whole lot about Fantastic Four. So I wouldn't mind learning more about weirder villains like the bug guy from space or whatever. That'd be cool. But, you know.
Yeah, hopefully it's just not like a rehash of kind of things we've already sort of seen in previous Fantastic Four movies.
Like Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, but at least Amazing Spider-Man, you could at least say this. At least it had a different villain in it.
Had Lizard, yeah. So.
Yeah. But the audio's kind of getting all staticky, so let's just cut it right here. Check out oldmanorange.com. Until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.